I'm in a Marriott in Dallas, 10th floor. The kind of room I've been in 1,000 times. 2 double beds, desk by the window, bathroom light that hums. I just finished a client presentation. It went well. They're going to sign. I order room service. Chicken Caesar salad. Same thing I always get. I eat at the desk with my laptop open, checking emails. It's 9:47 p.m. Back home it's 10:47. My son has school tomorrow. I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm thinking about the follow-up items from the meeting. 3 action points I need to get ahead of before morning. This feels normal. I'm the VP of marketing. When clients have questions, they expect answers from me. When the CEO needs a strategy deck, I'm the one who builds it. I finish the salad, send 4 emails, look at the alarm clock, 11:20 p.m. I should sleep. Morning flight at 6:15, but there's a proposal I need to review, and a Slack thread I haven't answered. 20 minutes, maybe 30. I make coffee from the machine on the counter. It tastes like plastic. No one's forcing me to do this. I could stop, close the laptop, get 7 hours of sleep instead of 5. But then I'd be behind tomorrow. I don't think about it in those exact words, I just feel it. The hum of being needed. I'm 72 now. That night in the Marriott. I was 38, but I could describe 100 nights exactly like it. Different cities, different hotels, same desk, same laptop glow, same cold salad. I wasn't special, I was just doing what people at my level did, what my boss did, what everyone around me did. You work hard, you move up, you prove yourself. Eventually it pays off. Eventually. My wife used to ask when it would get easier. I'd say, soon. Once I get through this quarter, once this launch settles. I meant it. I thought there was a finish line where the intensity would decrease and I'd have time to be present. To be the husband and father I kept telling myself I was working so hard for. But there's no such thing as once this settles, when your identity is built on being the person who handles things. Every promotion came with new expectations, new responsibilities, new reasons why I couldn't ease up now. I was 46 when I made senior VP. I thought I'd feel different, accomplished. Instead, I felt more locked in than ever. Now, I wasn't just responsible for my work. I had a team of 12 people depending on me, executives watching my division's performance. A salary that meant my family's lifestyle now assumed I'd keep earning at this level. The pattern I'd established, email before breakfast, laptop at night, weekends half spent on strategy decks, business trips 2 or 3 times a month, that pattern didn't feel like a choice anymore. It felt like the cost of the life I'd built, so I kept paying it. I'd get home from Dallas or Denver or Seattle, and my daughter would be at a friend's house. My son would be doing homework in his room. My wife would update me on what I'd missed, the parent-teacher conference, the basketball game, the argument about curfew she'd handled alone. I'd listen, nod, feel a small tightness in my chest that I didn't have words for, and then I'd check my email, because there was always something that needed my attention. I thought I was being responsible. I didn't realize I was spending something that doesn't regenerate. I wasn't a workaholic in the dramatic sense. I didn't hate my family. I didn't love my job more than my kids. I just believed a certain story about how life worked. You work hard in your 30s and 40s so you can provide stability later. You sacrifice now so your family doesn't have to sacrifice later. You build something, a career, a reputation, a financial foundation that makes everything else possible. And the people who really make it, they're the ones willing to do what others won't. Stay later, travel more, be available when it matters. I believed this the way you believe gravity. When I made VP at 41, I remember the feeling, walking into the office with the new title on my email signature, the respect in people's voices, my wife proud at the company dinner, my father, who'd worked in a factory for 30 years, telling me I'd done well. It felt like proof. The promotion came with a 30% raise. We bought a bigger house, put the kids in better schools, started saving for college in a real way. These were good things, tangible things, things I could point to when my son asked why I missed his baseball game, or when my wife mentioned again that I'd been working through dinner all week. I'm doing this for us, I'd say, and I meant it. I was on my phone at my daughter's dance recital. Not the whole time, just during the parts where she wasn't on stage. Answering a client who needed a decision before Monday. I was physically at the dinner table 3, maybe 4 nights a week. But mentally, I was running through tomorrow's presentation or replaying a conversation with my boss or planning how to handle the underperforming team member. My wife would tell me something important, something about her day, about a problem with her mother, about feeling disconnected, and I'd hear the words but I wouldn't really listen. She noticed. She'd stop mid-sentence sometimes and say, "You're not here," and I'd deny it. Get defensive. "I'm sitting right here, aren't I?" But she was right. Everyone around me at work was the same way. We normalized it. We'd joke about it. "Haven't seen my kids awake in 3 days," one guy said at a leadership retreat, and we all laughed. We wore exhaustion like a badge. My boss told me once, "The difference between good executives and great ones is availability. Great ones make themselves essential." I took that to heart. I became essential. I was the person they called when a client was upset, when a campaign underperformed, when the CEO needed someone to fly to New York on 2 hours' notice to salvage a partnership. And every time I handled it, every crisis I managed, every fire I put out, it reinforced something. Being needed meant being important. My daughter stopped asking me to help with her homework, not because she didn't want me to, but because I'd said, "Maybe later, honey," enough times that she learned to just ask her mother. My son stopped telling me about his day. The conversations got shorter. "How was school?" "Fine." That was it. I told myself this was normal. Teenagers pull away, but he was 11. My wife asked me once directly when things would slow down. We were in the kitchen, Saturday morning. I was on my laptop at the counter. She was making breakfast. "When does it get easier?" she asked. Not angry, just tired. I looked up from the screen. "Soon," I said. "Once we close this acquisition, once I get the team stabilized, then I'll have more flexibility." She didn't say anything, just cracked another egg into the pan. I went back to my email. I genuinely believed what I told her. I thought there was a point where the intensity would decrease, where I could coast a little, be more present. But that point never came. Because the goalpost kept moving. First it was making VP, then senior VP, then the executive team, then protecting my position, then preparing a successor so I could retire with legacy intact. There was always a next thing. And underneath it all, beneath the logic about providing and building and securing, there was something else. I liked being needed. I liked the feeling of being the person who could solve things. The weight of responsibility felt like purpose. The stress felt like significance. At work, I knew exactly what success looked like: hit the targets, win the clients, grow the revenue, clear metrics, clear feedback. At home, success was murkier. Being a good husband or father didn't come with quarterly reviews or performance bonuses. So I stayed where I felt competent, where I felt essential. Nothing dramatic happened. There was no affair, no screaming fight, no moment where my wife threatened to leave or my kids said they hated me. It was quieter than that. My daughter turned 16. There was a ceremony at her school, some kind of achievement award, academic excellence, I think. My wife texted me the date, put it on the shared calendar, reminded me twice I meant to go. But the morning of the ceremony, our largest client called. Contract issue. Needed resolution before close of business or they'd walk. 3 years of relationship on the line. The ceremony was at 2 p.m. Client call was at 1. I called my wife. "I know," I said before she could speak. "I'm going to try. But this client situation..." "Don't," she said. "Don't what?" "Don't try. Either be there or don't. But don't try and show up halfway through and make it about your effort." She wasn't yelling. Her voice was flat. "I'll make it," I said. The call went until 3:30. By the time I got to the school, the parking lot was empty. I came home with flowers, took my daughter to dinner, just the 2 of us, to celebrate. Expensive place. She ordered what she wanted. I apologized. She said it was fine. But something in her eyes was different. Not hurt, exactly. More like confirmation. Confirmation that this was who I was. That work would always win. That she'd been right to stop expecting me. I told myself I'd make it up to her. Be at the next thing. But the next thing conflicted with a board meeting. And the thing after that conflicted with a business trip I'd committed to months earlier. She stopped putting events on the shared calendar. When I asked why, she shrugged. "You're always busy anyway." My son was different. He didn't stop inviting me to things. He just stopped caring whether I came. I remember one weekend he had a tournament, travel baseball, 2 hours away. I'd promised I'd go, blocked the whole Saturday. Friday night, my boss called. Asked if I could join a call with the board Saturday morning. "Just an hour," he said. "Maybe 2. I said yes. Told myself I'd still make the second game. The call went long. Then there were follow-up emails, action items. By the time I finished, it was 4 p.m. I texted my wife, "How'd he do?" She sent back, "He played well. Asked where you were after the first game, stopped asking after that." I felt it then, that tightness in my chest. But I had emails to send. My marriage didn't collapse. It just thinned. We still talked, still sat together at dinner when I was home, still went through the motions of being partners. But somewhere along the way, we'd stopped being people who shared a life and become people who coordinated logistics. "Can you pick up the kids Tuesday? I have a work thing. Can you do Wednesday instead?" Fine. We had sex maybe once a month. Functional, efficient. She stopped telling me about her day in any real way. Stopped sharing the small frustrations or joys, not because she was punishing me, because she'd learned I wasn't really listening. I'd ask how she was. She'd say, "Fine." And I'd accept that because I had a conference call in 10 minutes. I remember one night, I was 53, lying in bed next to her. She was reading. I was on my phone scrolling through emails. She put her book down and looked at me. "Do you even like your life?" she asked. I looked up. "What?" "Your life. The one you're living. Do you actually like it?" I didn't know how to answer that. "I'm building something," I said. "For us. For the kids." She nodded slowly. "Okay." Then she picked her book back up. We didn't talk about it again. My father got sick when I was 56, lung cancer. The doctors said maybe a year. I visited. Flew back home, 3 hours each way, on weekends when I could. Sat with him. We didn't talk much. We'd never been big talkers. But I was there. Sort of. Physically in the room, but mentally running through the deals I needed to close, the team issues I needed to resolve, the strategic planning session I was missing. He died on a Tuesday. I was in a meeting when my mother called. I saw her name on my phone. Almost sent it to voicemail, trained response. But something made me step out. She didn't say much, just that he'd passed, peacefully. I told her I'd be on the next flight. Then I went back into the meeting, because we were in the middle of quarterly planning. I took the red eye that night. At the funeral, my mother held my hand and told me he was proud of me, that he'd always bragged about his son, the executive. I nodded, but all I could think was, he died on a Tuesday and I finished my meeting. I retired at 65. They gave me a party, speeches about my contributions, a plaque with my name on it. The CEO called me a cornerstone of the company. It felt good, for about a week. Then I woke up on a Monday with nothing to do, no emails to check, no meetings to prep for, no one needing my input on anything. I thought I'd feel relieved. Instead, I felt erased. I'd spent 37 years being essential. They replaced me in 6 weeks. The person who took my role, sharp kid, maybe 40, he was fine, good even. The company didn't miss a beat. I started spending more time at home. My wife had built a whole life I knew nothing about. Book club on Thursdays, yoga 3 mornings a week, volunteer work at the library, friends I'd never met. She was polite, made room for me. But I could feel it. I was a guest in a life that had learned to function without me. My kids were adults now. My daughter lived across the country. My son came by for dinner once a month, maybe. We'd sit and make small talk. I'd ask about work. He'd give short answers. The ease wasn't there. The familiarity you're supposed to have with your own child. I didn't have it, because I'd missed the years when that gets built. I didn't miss them because of one big decision. I missed them because of 1,000 small ones. Every time I chose the client call over the recital. Every time I brought my laptop to the dinner table. Every time I said later and later never came. I have a wall in my office at home, framed awards, plaques with my name engraved, photos from company events, me shaking hands with CEOs, holding oversized checks, standing at podiums. 37 years of achievement. I walked past it every day for the first year of retirement, felt something each time. Now I'm 7 years out and I can't remember the last time I actually looked at it. Not because I'm bitter, just because none of it means what I thought it would. The Client of the Year award from 2009? I couldn't tell you which client. The promotion announcements, the revenue milestones, the strategic wins that felt so critical at the time. The people at the company don't think about me. Why would they? They have their own deadlines, their own crises. I'm a name in an old email chain. That's not a complaint. That's just how it works. My grandson turned 6 last month. My daughter flew in for his birthday. I watched him open presents, run around the backyard with other kids, fall asleep on the couch halfway through his own party, and I saw my son-in-law. The way he was just there, present, playing with the kids, talking to the parents, not checking his phone every 10 minutes. At one point, my grandson ran up to him, excited about some toy, and his dad stopped mid-conversation to get down on one knee and listen. Like nothing else in the world mattered more than what this 6-year-old had to say. I felt something watching that. Not jealousy exactly, more like recognition. That's what my kids needed from me. Not the bigger house, not the better schools. Just that. Someone who'd get on one knee and listen like they mattered more than anything else. My wife and I were sitting on the porch last week, drinking coffee. Quiet morning. She said, "Do you ever think about what we could have been?" I knew what she meant, not what we could have accomplished. What we could have been, together. If I'd come home at 6 instead of 8. If I'd left work at work. If I'd been the partner she deserved instead of the one who was always half somewhere else. "Yeah," I said. "I think about it." She nodded. We sat there a while longer. It's not a ruined marriage. We're still here, still kind to each other. But there's a version of us that could have existed, should have existed, that didn't. I can't get those years back. I can't redo the moments I missed, can't re-attend the recitals, can't be there for the conversations my kids had with their mother, instead of me because they learned early I wasn't available. I have money in the bank, a comfortable retirement, a respectable career to look back on. But my daughter calls her mother when something important happens. She tells me later. Summary version. After it's been processed. My son and I get lunch maybe once every 6 weeks. We talk about surface things, sports, weather, how his job is going. The depth isn't there. Not because he doesn't love me, but because you don't build depth in your 60s that you didn't invest in when they were 6. Everything they needed me for at work, every crisis, every strategy session, every critical decision, they found someone else to do. The company moved on. But the people who needed me, my wife, my kids, my father in his last year, there was no replacement for that. I spent 37 years believing later would come, that eventually I'd have time, that eventually things would slow down and I'd be able to focus on the people I loved. Later came, and the people I loved had learned to live without me, not because they wanted to, because I taught them to. I'm 72 now. I have grandchildren who barely know me. I have a wife who loves me, but who built a life that doesn't require me. I have a wall of achievements that meant everything then and almost nothing now. And I have the memory of 1,000 small moments I wasn't there for. That's the trade I made. I didn't see it clearly at the time, but I see it now. But